Hi, I'm Danny with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at our diode wiring kit for our 2024 GMC Sierra 3500. So you're going to have 5 main components for your flat tow setup. Starting here at your base plate, and that is the plate that's going to connect to the frame of your vehicle, which allows you to connect your tow bar to. So your tow bar is going to be the main component here that connects your vehicle to your motorhome. And then you're going to have your wiring, so you're going to have your 7-pole wiring that will connect to your diode wiring for your turn signals. And you're going to have your braking system. So this will pull if there's a catastrophic failure. This will stop your vehicle on the road. And now for safety options, we do have these 2 safety cables that will attach your motorhome to your vehicle. And also you will have this breakaway switch, and this will pull if there's a catastrophic failure, and it'll stop your vehicle from rolling down the highway. You'll also have a braking system inside the vehicle that will correspond to the brake in your motorhome. So that will brake as you brake down the highway. So your diode wiring kit is going to allow you, as you can see, to utilize your turn signals of your motorhome and have those show up on your vehicle you're towing. So running the wire for your diodes is fairly simple. You're just going to go from the front 7-pole right to the back here. You will sometimes have to run a power wire like we did today if we have a constant power. But this is going to be your best option for your flat tow for making it legal on the road. As far as setup goes, this one was a little different on our 3500 today. We did have to have 2 more sets of diodes, so 3 per side. That's not usually the case. So if you have any questions about your setup and your vehicle, please feel free to reach out to us at eTrailer, and we can figure out what you need for your flat tow setup. So like I said, the setup is pretty straightforward. You're just running that harness back to your taillights. Now this one is a little more complicated, so if you think you can't do it yourself or you don't have the tools or time, feel free to check out our dealer locator and we can find a professional to do it for you. But without further ado, let's get into the install. So to start off our installation, we first mounted this bracket up here that's going to hold our 7-pole mounting bracket as well as our breakaway switch and our air line. So what I did was I did use a piece of just a little bit of angled bracket we had in the shop to kind of retrofit that to our truck here. There's a couple different options you can do. There's metal down here you could screw to, but we did cut out the middle here. And if you don't have this specific one, you can bend one out of thin metal, kind of doing a DIY version, or we do offer a lot of different brackets here at eTrailer that may work for your setup. So make sure when you put your diode wiring through, you're also going to want to run a power wire in. So I'm going to put that through here, run this actually up to the cab first because I'm going to put an inline fuse in, then run it back down and follow my same wiring to the rear. So now we can go ahead and put on our 6-pole plug. You want to pull off this rubber piece on the back here and slip that on your wires. And I already split them apart here. You're going to want to split them all apart, and then I'm going to go ahead and strip a little bit of these off. And once you get those all stripped down, you're going to want to grab your plug and back out all of these small screws. So make sure you don't back them out too far so they don't fall out, but you're going to want to back them out enough to get your wire in. And they are going to be labeled on there. There's going to be a GD for ground. Then for the tail light, it is going to be marked TM for tail marker, right turn RT, and left turn LT. And then the red power wire is going to go in the middle there. So I kind of want to just test fit them in there, and if there's any copper showing, I will cut that a little bit more. But this one's looking good, so I'll tighten this down. And how I ran the wire, I just put it in some loom up front here, and then I zip tied it, secured it up here, ran it to the wheel well, and I zip tied it up along the wheel well, then dropped it down to our frame here, and that's when I ran it into the frame. So where I entered the frame here is up behind this wheel well liner, as you can see here. And I did go ahead and put some loom on it just because it will be contacting metal. But I went ahead and got my airline tubing and I put it in all these entry points and kind of fished it all the way down the frame. You can use a regular wire fish if you have one at home. It'll do the job just as well. But we went ahead and put that all the way in this frame, all the way to the rear of the vehicle. So where I came out of the frame here is this large hole right by the spare tire in the back here. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and pull this down, and I'm gonna separate my green and brown wire, and I'm gonna run that up to the passenger side taillight, and then my yellow and white wire will run to the driver's side. Now I'm gonna go ahead and separate these, and it is kind of hard to get them separated without cutting that wire. I'm gonna do the best I can here. Once I do get them separated, do make sure to put wire loom on if it's touching anywhere metal, if it's anywhere near a heat source. Now I'm gonna go ahead and run the wires where they need to go, and I'll show you the path that we took once I do so. So now I'm gonna go ahead and run to my passenger side here. I'm gonna get my yellow wire and my wire that I'm gonna use as my jumper for the taillights. I'm gonna tape those to my airline tubing. And I just ran that through their existing hitch here, and I'm gonna run that to the driver's side. You can also use this same method just to run them up to the taillights when you're ready. Now, before I run the wires under the bed, I'm gonna go ahead and take both our taillights off here. You're gonna wanna get a T15, and there's gonna be 2 screws on the inside of your bed here. You're just gonna wanna remove those. And then the one on the bottom. So these can be a little hard to get off. They are pretty secured in there, but you're gonna wanna pull it directly out. The fasteners are in on the back there, so you just wanna get it popped out here. And there's 2 on the back, so I'm gonna pull the one on the bottom. And get this pulled out. Now there are a couple zip ties holding this back. I'm gonna cut those and replace those later. So these 2 zip ties are gonna be here and here. I'm just gonna snip those off just for now so we can get to it. And unplug it. So you're gonna wanna pull up on this red tab, push down on the button here, and get that removed. So I got all my wires ran up here, and now I'm gonna go ahead and cut the wire harness on the truck. So I'm gonna cut the constant power wire and the turn signal brake light and the tail lights. And do test these before you go and cut yours because they could be different. But now I'm gonna go ahead and splice into these with our diodes. So now I'm gonna connect my connector to the constant power wire here. Crimp that on. So now I'm going to put on my connector for my constant power with the inline fuse. Crimp that on. Then we're going to take our diode, and the out single post is going to be facing our plug. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in. And then these 2 don't matter, the order, but the in, we'll just plug in our other connectors. And so now I'm hooking up the last one here, which is our tail lights. And do notice it does come with the bigger connector here, and that is because you're going to be splicing in one that's going to go to the driver's side. So yeah, I got them all connected. We got our tail lights, our turn signal brake lights, and our power. And I also had our ground wire grounded to the vehicle. So on this side, we're going to want to connect the same way. We got our left turn, we got our taillights and our constant power, and we're going to connect those to the same way on this side. So now I'm going to get my third diode that we got separately for this situation here. Get this connected, and this is the constant power that will allow it to work properly. So like I said before, we got our taillight diode, we got our constant power diode, and then here we have our turn signal and brake diode. So now at this point, I would go ahead and plug this in, test them up front, and make sure everything's working properly. If it is, I'll silicone it up, and put this back in permanently. And that was a look at our diode wiring kit for our 2024 GMC Sierra 3500.